What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 197 of the Ringside Rundown podcast. My name is Erik Vasquez, and joining me on the line is my podcasting partner in crime. Yes, that rhymes. Coming straight from the Berg, she is none other than Shay Hickson. Shay, what's going on, my friend? How are you this week?
I can't really complain. Actually a couple hours ago, I made a very adult purchase.
Oh,
And not by like actual adult purchase, I meant like money wise. I finally broke down and invested in a decent gaming laptop.
oh,
I needed to get it done because I have a Steam account and I have a lot of kind of older PC games
right.
that I used to play way back in the day, and my computer now probably could maybe run them, but I also don't want to run the risk of this exploding. So I'm
Right.
like, thankfully I have a friend at work who, funny enough, is also named Erik, and it's spelled the exact same way.
Wow.
So Erics know everything apparently, and I gave him a list of, because I always had an HP laptop, so I'm like, okay, what's a decent HP like gaming laptop? Like, I don't need anything that's gonna run like Cyberpunk or Fortnite or anything like recent, because that's what my PlayStation's for. But I want to play my old games, damn it, because I want to get hit with the nostalgia, and so I broke down and got an HP Victus, so
Nice.
it'll be here next week. So I may have a report on that Tuesday. I may even be recording from it on Tuesday. We'll see how it goes.
Nice. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, the price wasn't, but I got a pretty good deal from it though. Not gonna lie, because the only reason it was slightly over 1,000 was because of the shipping, but I got it for a pretty decent deal off of Best Buy of all places. So
I'm sure you'll
I'll
get some
take
use out of it.
I will. It just hurts a little bit right now, but thankfully I get paid Fridays, so it makes up for it a little bit. But
There you go. There you
can't
go.
complain too much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a pro wrestling podcast where Shay and I talk about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, whether it be WWE, AEW, or anything of the like. We talk about pro wrestling here on the podcast, and this week we have a very special episode because we're going back a little bit. We're going back a week, and we're going to be talking about the AEW Revolution pay-per-view. We wanted to really talk about that because it seems to be pivotal pay-per-view in the way things are going for AEW and what they're trying to accomplish. So we definitely wanted to talk about that and give our thoughts on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was definitely it was a pretty decent pay-per-view, not gonna lie. It wasn't bad. I just feel like I feel like we talk about this every fucking time there's an AEW pay-per-view and it never changes. I am getting so sick and tired of every time there's a Sunday night pay-per-view for AEW, I can't watch the full thing. Like,
Yeah.
I hate it, and it's just like, I'm not the only one. This isn't just like an isolated, oh, it's just poor me thing. A lot of people have to get up early to go to work the next day. It's
Yeah.
Monday. Like, I can't stay up when your main event doesn't start until almost midnight and doesn't end until almost 1 in the morning, and I have to wake up at 5:30. It's like, guys, I can't fuck around like this. I don't know why they keep thinking this is such a good idea.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if maybe, and this was just my like theory on it, but not every main event they've had is a death match, but I'm wondering if maybe, oh, if we start the death match later, then we can't really get yelled at by the adults of like, why did my kid watch that? I can't believe they were able to watch that. Where it's like, okay, but your main events aren't always that graphic and violent, so why are we still having our main event end or at almost 1 in the morning? Like,
Yeah.
I literally had to give up around the trios title, I think, because it's just like, guys, I still have to get ready for work. I mean, I had a coworker that stayed up and watched the whole thing, and it's like, well, I'm glad you could, because I would have been running on fumes,
Yeah.
running on
Yeah.
barely 4 hours of sleep. But so it annoyed me a little bit, but clearly AEW doesn't seem to care about that too much. But overall, I thought it was solid. But I did want to get your opinion on this because I was a little interested as the pay-per-view had gone on. Do you think that they went a little overboard with the returns and the shocking moments and whatnot? And obviously, we'll get more into detail about who and when later, but it just felt like, are we gonna have a return every fucking match? Because it was just constant.
Yeah, I was wondering. I won't say it's too much or too little. It's just I was wondering about certain people making their
Yeah.
return to the company and seeing where that was going to go. I was really surprised to see Osprey already back and cleared to go. That was the one
Yeah.
thing that really surprised me. This guy had neck fusion surgery and he's already cleared to go and he's getting physical and things like that in the ring, and that just screams like, oh my god, to me, like that guy is superhuman. Like there's something definitely wrong with him. But yeah, it was an abundance of appearances from people we haven't seen in a while.
And some I wish we didn't have to see again, because one of them, and I think you know exactly which one I'm talking about, I'm just like, are we really gonna fucking do this? Because what does this person add to AEW at all? And it was funny that the crowd in LA seemed to agree, because they were not happy that this person was there, and rightfully so. But yeah, it was good seeing Osprey back. I mean, Copeland and Christian were back. And the thing that like got me though was that it feels like two of these matches in particular, the outcome was already kind of determined because of those returns, and we didn't really know about it. Because I feel like when it came to the tag titles and to what was another one? The Continental title, I feel like both of those could have completely gone the other way, but I feel like now, knowing now what we should have known back then, it was just like, God damn it, yeah, that made some sense. And really fucked with our predictions. We were talking about it before we came on. We're not doing so hot with these predictions right now. I think we barely got to even, I think, on this show, which is improvement from Elimination Chamber. We sucked with Elimination Chamber, but
Yeah.
yeah, Revolution was marginally better, but still not great. But somehow, some way, you still managed to just sneak out with that title
I
right off the
did.
bat,
I
and
did.
pissed me the fuck off.
Uh,
Like, all because of certain people coming back.
I
But
tell you. All right, so might as well talk about it. Let's get started. The show starts with the carryover from the pre-show where we saw Jungle Jack Perry best Ricochet and become the new AEW National Champion. So congratulations to Jungle Jack Perry on winning the 21-man Blackjack Battle Royal and becoming the new AEW National Champion. I certainly hope that they actually do something with that title and all the other titles that they have, because they sure have a plethora of titles that they can work with.
yeah, you could say that. And as soon as I saw what they were doing, I'm like, this is going to be a recurring thing, isn't it? This isn't going away. They're just going to keep doing this more often than not if they feel like it, going from the pre-show into the main show. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've talked about it a couple times before. It worked like the first maybe two times, but now it's just like, okay, we're just gonna do that again. That's cool. I mean, it's like, it just kind of goes into AEW's bad habit of, oh, well, this really worked once, so we're just gonna beat this into submission until like nobody cares anymore, or if it's like overkill.
Right.
And yeah, it was good the first few times, but now it's just like, okay, it's a thing. Anyway, can we just like finish this so we can get to the actual show? But like I said, that's just AEW in a nutshell with their overkill. But
Yeah. All right.
good for Jack Perry though.
Yeah, congratulations, Jack Perry, new AEW National Champion. The first match of the Revolution card is for the AEW Tag Team Championships, where FTR defended the titles against the Young Bucks. Now, for me, this was an intense physical match that tested the will for all four men involved. Lots of blood spilled, which I was surprised about. The Young Bucks usually aren't ones to get their hands dirty with blood. This one had a few great false finishes to keep the crowd hot. In the end, FTR hit a wicked shatter machine from the second rope to put away the Young Bucks and keep their titles. I gave this match 3 3/4 out of 5 flames. What about you?
Well, we're gonna start off with the usual. I also gave a 3 3/4 flame. It was just yeah, these two teams just have that chemistry where it's like they could just close their eyes and have a great match. So it really wasn't a surprise that this match was really as good as it was. Yeah, I was not expecting the blood because, good lord, this show was very bloody in particular. I feel like just overall there was just so much blood in the matches as the show went on, and that poor ring crew having to clean up all of that mess after this match. It's just ugh, like. Mm-mm. I can't, but no, it was a very good match. Again, to be expected from these two. Very mad with the outcome because I wanted to, get my title back, but it is what it is. But I did like that little detail of when Cash and Dax are both on the sharpshooters and Cash like slapped Dax to get him to like not tap out and like, lock in a little bit. That was a very nice touch. I feel like they've done that once or twice in their careers, so I always like when they bring it back. But yeah, it was just wild, bloody for sure, chaos. Copeland and Christian are back because we should have known. But good, yeah, it was a very good match. FTR definitely got some extra heat on them because they beat the hometown guys, which yeah, I still wanted it to be me. I still wanted it to be right. I still wanted to be right, but it just is what it is. But yeah, great opener to the show. No surprise there. So I too gave it 3 3/4 flames.
All right, so FTR has no time to celebrate as the lights go out and the returning Adam Copeland and Christian Cage hit the ring and wipe out FTR and Big Stoke. The crowd seems to be happy that Adam Copeland and Christian Cage are back. We find out on the following Dynamite, the Fallout 2 Revolution, that these guys are looking to get those tag team titles and they want to take it from FTR, and they're willing to go through anybody to do it.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Could you imagine a fatal or like a triple threat between these three teams? It's gonna be fucking insane.
Yeah,
I definitely can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of fun. I'm a fan of Christian Cage. I'm not so much a big guy on Adam Copeland, but for the nostalgia purposes, it works for me. It works for me.
Yeah.
And they had a little bit of time off, so they look like they're ready to go. And there's no ring rust when it comes to veterans like Christian Cage and Adam Copeland. So whatever they decide to do, whether it comes for Dynasty or in the future, I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, it made me laugh when they're kind of going back and forth on why they want the titles, and Christian's just like, I just want to make money. That's all I want to do. I just want to make money. And it's just like, yeah, you haven't changed a bit, have you, buddy?
Hey.
But it just works.
Hey,
it's just like
that's a great motivator right there to make money.
Yeah, unfortunately, capitalism, it makes the world go round. So yeah, we need as much money as we can get. But yeah, definitely interested to see if they hold off a little bit, if they keep this going until, I would think that maybe they wouldn't keep it going all the way to All Out, but you never know, or All In, but they could have it for Dynasty or maybe just, spread it out a little bit. But either way, it'll be interesting to see how they where they take this.
Yep. So there you go. We both graded the match 3 3/4 flames out of 5. Moving on, we have Timeless Tony Storm taking on Marina Shafir in a singles match. This one was interesting to me because Marina Shafir spent most of the match on top. Storm is able to find a window of offense after hitting Shafir with 3 hip attacks. Shafir goes to snuff out the offensive attack as she's been doing all match, but Storm puts a stop to it by biting Marina Shafir's boob.
Yeah.
Storm then hits her with a headbutt, wraps her in a big package pin, and Tony Storm gets the win. I gave this match 3.5 flames out of 5.
I also gave it 3.5 out of 5, but I think the biggest takeaway from this match for sure is that this was Marina Shafir's best match.
Well, yeah.
To date. You don't even have to say like in AEW, period. It was her best match, period, in her wrestling career. And Tony sold her stuff like $1 million, made her look as dangerous as she is. She wouldn't, it doesn't take much to make Marina look dangerous, but Tony did a good job of legit selling her chops, man. Good God. The fucking echo on those things, just, you can feel it through the TV or the computer screen or whatever. It's just, Marina is just dangerous, and it further reinforces the fact of maybe at this point, when or if, I don't even know anymore, that the Death Riders kind of excommunicate Moxley from the group, I still think Marina should be the leader of it. No offense to Claudio, but she could run it. And I'd be more worried if I were anybody going up against her than him. And he's no slouch either. He's definitely tough as nails in his own right, but Marina's just definitely flourished over the last year or so. And yeah, I really enjoyed this match. This was physical, this was hard hitting, and it really made it feel like Tony escaped by the skin of her teeth, because
Yeah.
she did. Again, we were also wrong because we thought Marina was going to win, which, fine, it is what it is, but then after the match happened, and that's when I completely lost interest, because for some reason we felt the need. Let me preface it. I'm like, okay, something has to happen, because sometimes you can kind of tell when they're like shooting things a certain way after a match, or they're kind
Yeah.
of taking their time or doing whatever. I'm like, okay, something's got to happen, because they are taking way too long with all of this. So I'm like, what's happening? And then you kind of hear the crowd when Tony's like on the stage, like on the ground. You kind of hear like the rumblings in the crowd. And I didn't even have to look hard enough to know that that was Ronda Rousey. And I immediately tuned out emotionally. I'm like, I don't fucking care that she's here. The crowd sure as hell didn't care. They booed her out of the building. And that wasn't like heel heat. That was go away heat, because nobody wanted nobody wanted that. I don't really think, I mean, maybe two people, but there's like nobody really wanted to see Ronda show up in AEW, because this is the same woman who left scorched earth on the way out of WWE and pretty much just shit over all over wrestling as a whole. So the fact you bring her in, even if it was just supposedly a one-off, because I heard that it was just to promote whatever fucking fight she has against God knows whoever. I don't care.
Yeah. Carano.
Yeah, sure. And it's just like, okay, how did that benefit AEW? It pretty much just benefited her, if that, and that was it. So I was very confused, disappointed, because I'm just like, she could give a shit less about the wrestling business, and you just like gave her the red carpet treatment. So it's just like, okay, thanks, Tony. That's another stupid move on your part, but at least the crowd didn't buy into it, because we've seen plenty of times over the years where it's just like, do we really need to be cheering this person? Because this really isn't like as good as people are making it out to be. And I'm glad that they saw straight through that and just booed her out of the building, because it was stupid. Let's just put it this way. It was stupid. It didn't need to happen. Like, Marina still could have like came up and like choked Tony out or something. Like, they could have done it without needing to have Ronda there for no fucking reason at all, but whatever, money talks, I guess.
Yeah. So this is how it went down. As Tony Storm is recuperating on the stage, one Ronda Rousey makes an appearance, calling Storm back to the ring. Storm obliges, but before the women could come to blows, they are separated by security and officials. Marina Shafir takes a chance to hit Tony with a cheap shot, knocking her out, then exiting with Ronda Rousey walking through the crowd. Like you said, I couldn't tell if this was just to cause attention for her fight, which is coincidentally on Netflix, which is weird if you think about it.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
the association with WWE and Netflix, but she has this fight coming up on Netflix. It's a big fight, and so I guess this was to get ways to get talking about Ronda Rousey, but they say that this not going to lead to anything. Like, she's not going to be joining AEW, and we won't be seeing her on AEW television anytime soon. This was just to basically cause a little bit of uproar for her fight that she has coming up on Netflix. So for any of those that were wondering if Ronda Rousey was going to be a part of AEW, it doesn't seem to be the case. It was just a one-off appearance, and she probably did it because obviously she's very close friends with Marina Shafir, and she just wanted to get her name out there to promote her fight. I can't really hate on the tactic. I just don't really care for Ronda Rousey. She doesn't really tickle my fancy. She doesn't move the needle for me. She doesn't get me excited when she's on the TV screen. It's just kind of like, oh, she doesn't she doesn't, like you said earlier, she doesn't really care for the wrestling business. She doesn't really care to put her all into the wrestling business. She was kind of given the golden treatment in WWE, and she kind of just shit all over that.
Yeah.
So, whatever. It happened. But what I really want to talk about is this thing from the fallout of Revolution. We go to Dynamite and we see that somebody had attacked Toni Storm and left her in a bloody mess. And we come to find out Toni Storm is not going to be wrestling for what they say might be the rest of the year. And we're only going to be in April soon.
Yeah, it was the thing that like has been confusing me about all of this is that the journalists and whatnot could not be any more vague with their reporting with this, because first it was, oh, she has an injury, then it turned into, oh, she has an injury or injuries, and then it turned into, oh, actually it isn't an injury, and then every time there's an update it's just, okay, well, she's not going to be here, that's the update. It's just like, what is fucking going on? Like, and then you have to add on top of the whole thing of like, well, if she's not going to be around, then who the hell knocked her out? Who did it? Like, I feel like it's surprising. I don't know why, but I mean, maybe. I guess the general consensus I've seen on Twitter is that it was Mina. And I'm like, don't do that to Mina. I'm like, but no, we can't make her like a bitch. Like, I mean, it could make sense though, but I mean, they had the crime scene photo that apparently is a shirt now because AEW can't help themselves.
Oh my
and
God.
it was so, I saw it and I'm like, you guys have got to be fucking kidding. Even somebody's just like, you have got to stop making shirts like this because it's just stupid. But it's a conversation for a whole other day. But there were so many different like Easter eggs of, there was Penelope Ford's like Harley Quinn mallet. There was, I think something with Megan Bain. I don't remember exactly what it was. There was Mercedes Monet's like neon M sign. There were flowers. So it was like whoever sent Mina the flowers, even though it wasn't Marina. It was not any of them. So it's just like, okay, well, who the hell could it have been then? But I don't know. I mean, regardless of what happened or what is going on with Toni, again, no one seems to really know. And every time they have an update, there's literally no update. It's just kind of the same update with different words thrown in. That's a big, there's some big shoes to fill. Like, that is not great for the women's division. In a way, it's not great. Like, on one side, you lost probably your biggest star for at least 9 months at this point, if not, they said even into next year at this rate. So it's like you could lose her for almost a year, which is wild. But in another way, that actually could help, because then it's like, who's going to step up?
Right.
Who's going to take the spotlight? I mean, obviously not one person's going to fill Toni Storm's shoes, but that gives plenty of other women an opportunity. Some, if Tony Khan remembers, they're employed, because I don't know if you saw it. I saw this thing on Twitter where someone was like, this is how long certain women on the AEW roster, when their like last match was. And the fact that I think they said, I mean, Britt's almost at 500 days, I think. Hikaru Shida and Nyla Rose are at like 450. It's just like, what happened to a lot of these women? Like, they were here, they were doing good, and then it was just like gone, like just without a trace, just gone. And so it's very odd to me why that is and what's going on. So it's just like, okay, well, you can't really have an excuse anymore, because I mean, in Britt's case, it seems like every few months when Tony's asked about her, it's always the same answer of, oh, she's always welcome back. It's just like, we're just waiting for the right time. And it's just like, well, Tony, you want the right time. This is the right fucking time at this point, because you need all hands on deck at this rate, because it's going to take a multitude of people to replace like the allure and the luster and the entertainment that Toni Storm provided. So there's no more fucking excuses with that. And on that case, why don't you have Nyla Rose? Why don't you have a Shida? Why don't you have, oh God, who, it was just like a laundry list of women. And it's just like, how are some of these women not wrestling? Like, Shida? How have you not had Shida wrestle in over a year and a half? Almost.
Wow.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's going on. It's a storyline mystery and a real life mystery, and no one seems to really know much of anything.
Sounds like it for sure. Yeah, it sounds like it for sure. But like you said, the one thing that should be a note is that it's a chance for all the other women in the AEW locker room to step up to fill the shoes of Toni Storm. And that's going to be a hard thing to do. But it gives a chance for some women to be shown. And like you said, there's a laundry list of women who are available to be wrestling and haven't wrestled. So we need to see if Tony Khan can figure out a way to make these things happen.
Yeah, it's like you use your noodle, Tony. It's really not that hard, but
but the big
we'll
news,
see.
but the big news coming out of AEW Revolution is that Toni Storm is out for the foreseeable future, and she might be out for the rest of the year. What they're saying, so very interesting times in the women's division for AEW for sure.
Yeah, it's it's going to be a very interesting year at this point because we're going to have to get answers at some point. It's just a matter of when we're going to get them.
Yeah, for sure. Now, moving on, we have a match for the Continental Championship between champion Jon Moxley defending the title against Konosuke Takeshita. Now, I was starting to grow restless with the slow pace of this matchup, but once Takeshita got busted open, the match kicked into high gear. Moxley kicking out of Raging Fire and Takeshita kicking out of the Death Rider DDT really had the crowd going crazy. Moxley realizes the only way to win this match is you have to take Takeshita out. Moxley catches Takeshita in a rear naked choke and traps his arms where he can't even tap. Takeshita passes out and the referee calls for the bell. I think this is one of the better matches of the night. I gave it 3 3/4 flames out of 5.
Shockingly, I also gave it 3 3/4 flames. I feel like this one was probably the most evenly contested match of the night by far because how long did it take us to come up with like a prediction on the predictions episode? And I feel like they took that to heart because after a while, I'm like, I have no idea who's going to win this match at this point because you could literally flip a coin and you would have been right either way. And I feel like even before that, we even said either one of them could win and they could go several different directions with the storyline with the Death Riders, with Takeshita and Okada. And I mean, clearly we now know what direction they were going to go in. It's going to go in with, oh, you're just a loser because you couldn't even get the title. But then they then proceeded to lose the trios titles themselves, which was whatever. That was odd choice, but it is what it is. But yeah, the match itself was pretty much what you'd expect from these two. It was hard hitting. It was not, I mean, and it's not fast paced in like a bad sense, but it's just like that's not how these two work. These two have a very like slow, methodical, like ground and pound striking kind of style. So it was never going to be a 0 to 60, and plus there was no time limit, so neither of them was in a hurry. And I feel like that time limit actually benefited them because it didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like, oh my god, just get to the point already. And it didn't feel like immediately you could tell, oh, we have to go home because this is just like taking too long. It's like the no time limit definitely helped them tell the story they needed to tell. And like I said, this was such an even match. I didn't know who was going to win at one point. And once again, we were both wrong because I don't know what's going on. We think we got a handle on these things and it kind of just goes sideways. But I honestly wasn't mad about it though, because the match was just so good that either one of them could have won, and I would have been like, yeah, that was a really good match either way. It didn't take away from it that Moxley won. It wouldn't have taken away from it if Takeshita won. It was just great. And then we saw what happened afterwards, and then it made more sense why Moxley retained the title. And yeah, so I also gave it 3 3/4 flames because it was up there with the opener for sure.
Yeah. After the match, we see the return of Will Ospreay. Ospreay storms the ring where he blindsides Moxley with a hidden blade. Ospreay takes out the rest of the Death Riders, and Ospreay says he's cleared to return to wrestling, which he does because the fallout to Revolution on Dynamite, we saw him take on Blake Christian in a match. Now, he just had neck surgery. Literally just had neck surgery. Most people who have neck fusion surgery take off like a year. You know, case in point, like Kevin Owens, who's out with neck fusion surgery. He's been out for quite some time, probably going to be out for a quite bit more longer before he comes back to the ring. But this soon, Will Ospreay coming back, it's just absolutely mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, he's freak of nature. I mean, I think that's the best way to put it. It's just a fucking freak of nature, and it's insane. And then to literally do what he did when he came back, which was then jump off the top on a turnbuckle onto the floor below, 1 inch away from re-breaking his neck and killing himself, because you go back and watch when he does that, he comes dangerously close to the edge of the apron, and it's just like, okay, I immediately when he did that went, why are you doing this? What's going on? And I didn't tell well, for preface, I didn't tell mom what happened because she didn't she had to go home obviously, so she didn't get to watch it, which is another reason why she hates the Sunday night pay-per-views, because she can't stay to watch it. And I remember I called her, and I feel like for whatever reason I was doing play-by-play for this match, so I'm not entirely sure what I was doing. And then when they were doing the return, I didn't have the heart to tell her at first who it was, and she's like, I swear to God, if it's Will, I'm gonna scream. I'm like, yeah, you better start screaming, because he's one of her favorites. And I didn't tell her what he did when he jumped off the turnbuckle, and so when she came down last weekend and we watched it again, she's just like, why the hell did he do that? What the fuck is up with him? I'm like, because he's insane. And that's just how he is, and that just goes to show you that clearly he has no fear, and he has faith in his body and the doctors. And even if probably everybody and their brother was like, please don't ever do that again, but it's Will Ospreay, you're not going to tell him what to do. So yeah, so that was good. It's good to have him back, especially with how the title scene's shaping up, and how Swerve's kind of gone back to this more sadistic character. It's going to be very interesting to see when those two interact. But yeah, it's pretty much just a matter of time before he gets into the title scene. So we'll see how it goes from here, but it's definitely glad to have him back.
Yeah, definitely. He's one of my favorite parts of AEW, so I'm definitely happy that Will Ospreay is back. I'm just mind blown by the fact that he's here so soon. And again, yeah, it does also make me a little nervous watching him perform, because neck surgeries and neck injuries are not anything to joke around with. They're very easy to re-aggravate and re-injure yourself. So I hope that's not the case with Will Ospreay. I wonder if he is going to wrestle a different style, maybe a little bit toned down. Maybe that was because he was, amped up, for the return and everything like that. That's why he went all out, but he's choosing to wrestle a different style. Not saying he has to. I don't want to be the person to be like, oh yeah, I should definitely be telling Will Ospreay how to do his job. But it's just from a fan's perspective, watching a man do what he's done and the amount of abuse that he put on his body the first time around, you definitely don't want to see him go through that again.
No, not at all. It's just insane to me. Like, we could stub our toes and we're like debilitated for like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
But he can have neck fusion surgery and come back in a couple months. It's just, he's impressive and also insane, but just crazy.
Yeah, it definitely is. So shout out to Will Ospreay. Again, he's already back. He wrestled on Dynamite, so he's already back in the fold. So we should be seeing a lot more of Will Ospreay in the future. So exciting times ahead. Next up, we had Megan Bayne and Lena Cross go after the Babes of Wrath for the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. This one was kind of quick and went by in a flash if you weren't paying attention. The story was Willow Nightingale coming out of the match less than 100% with an injured shoulder. Harley Cameron put up a respectable effort, but her inexperience did not help her. Bayne and Cross target Willow, hitting her with a double chokeslam for the win and becoming the new AEW Women's Tag Team Champions. I gave this one 3.5 flames out of 5.
Yeah, I gave this one 3.25, because I feel like I would have given it 3.5 if it was a couple more minutes long. I feel like it was way too quick.
Yeah.
For context, when I was watching it originally, it was kind of getting later in the night, obviously, as AEW pay-per-views do. So I'm like, okay, I have to at least go like brush my teeth and do my night routine or whatever, and I'll come back and I'll probably catch the end of the match. I was gone for less than 10 minutes and I come back and it's already into the next match already. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, what the fuck happened? And honestly, the outcome itself didn't surprise me because I feel like we both knew it was the beginning of the end. It's a shame because I feel like this was originally clearly supposed to be Penelope and Megan's moment because they were the original team, and it sucks that Penelope had to get hurt again. But on the flip side, though, Megan and Lena just work so well together. It's just like they're like the size and the strength and the power is just insane. So it really isn't that far out of the realm of possibility that even if Willow wasn't hurt, they still could have won those titles. So I feel like, granted, it was an anticlimactic finish. Again, you blink and you're going to miss it, but congrats for them. It'll be interesting to see what direction they go in now with the division because it's going to take a lot to take out a team like that. Like, it's, I'd be nervous, let's put it that way, but yeah, I definitely feel like they'll get their rematch for sure because, of course, Willow can say I was hurt, but she's a fighting champion, so she was never going to back out of that. So Willow's just living and dying by being a fighting champion, and unfortunately, this just happens. So we'll see how it goes. But no, congrats to Lena and Megan. It's definitely well deserved, and yeah, definitely liking them as a team so far. Can't wait to see more of them.
Yeah, my only concern is I hope this doesn't mean that Harley Cameron kind of gets lost in the shuffle. I think she's improved leaps and bounds. She gets better every time she's out there. And so I think you could really capitalize on her star power. She is very popular. She's very popular with the AEW audience. So I think capitalizing on her star power is something that you can definitely do. So I hope this doesn't mean that she gets lost in the shuffle and gets thrown to the wayside in the AEW women's locker room.
I really hope not. I feel like Tony's smart enough to, like you said, see how popular she is with the fans. So I feel like you'd be doing her and the fans a disservice by not doing anything with her. And like we mentioned earlier, with the fact that Tony's gone, you're going to need some more comedic relief. You're going to need some more like lighthearted, funny moments. And if anybody could do it just as good as Tony, it would be Harley Cameron. So you can't take her off the TV. It's just like she's just too good not to.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. All right, so moving on, we had a singles match between Swerve Strickland and Brody King to determine who is the baddest man in AEW. And this was a decent showing from both men. I just felt like it was lacking something that made it better than your standard Dynamite main event. Brody King did look like a star in the match, so hopefully this leads to more opportunities for him. It took 3 house call kicks from Swerve to put Brody away in this match, and like I said, it was okay, but it really left me with wanting more, and I wanted more, and it looked like it was just your standard Dynamite or Collision main event. I only gave this one 3.5 flames out of 5. It wasn't the best showing that I was hoping for.
Yeah, I almost want to split hairs. I almost want to kind of give it in between like 3.5 and 3 1/4 flames. So it's kind of like, I don't know, whatever the in between of that would be, because I feel like the match had a lot of potential. Like, if it physically hurt me and also mentally hurt me because I love Swerve and I love Brody. They're 2 of my favorites. So to have them both going against each other is like my worst nightmare. But
Right.
it was like, oh, this is going to be so much fun because Swerve like does not give a shit anymore, and Brody surely doesn't give a shit either. And I was just like, okay, they could have, I don't know how to I'm trying to think of how to put my finger on it, because I feel like they definitely were violent. There was no shortage of like, oof, like cringy moments in this, in a good way, obviously, just from just some of the shit they did with each other, like the vertebreaker on the floor, or the all the stuff on the apron and the railings, and it was just, they knew how to be painful without breaking the rules. However, I feel like it was just, I guess, almost stuck in second gear in a way. I feel like it could have just, you were kind of just waiting for it to do something else. Like you were waiting for it to like go to that next level, and it just never showed up. So I was like, oh, this is really good. I'm waiting for it to get even better. And it's like, oh, it's not. Like, it's not going to. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I think it just slowed it down a little too much at times. I feel like they could have just kept it at a higher pace and maybe it would have benefited a little bit more, but it was definitely not short on violence. Especially with those two, you have to have a violent match or else their characters don't mean anything. So the violence was there. I just feel like they could have kicked it up a little bit more. Maybe not so much in the violence, just in the pacing, perhaps is maybe where I'm going with. But yeah, so I'll say in the middle of 3.5 and 3.25 flames.
Yeah, the one big thing is that it took 3 house calls
Yeah.
from Swerve to put Brody down, and that was a pretty big thing because that's kind of like symbolic in a way, like you lost, but it really took a lot to put you down for a loss, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and it keeps Brody looking powerful because again, he could have easily just went down after one house call, and if that would have been the case, I think we both would have been on this episode screaming because it made him look like not pathetic, just more like mortal, I guess, because you can't have somebody like Brody King get taken out with one finisher, especially in a match like this, which is like so high stakes. You have to make it like you have to make Swerve earn it, or you have to make Brody earn it, and they Swerve definitely earned it because 3 house calls is a lot, and you could see Swerve getting frustrated throughout the match, where it's just like, what's it gonna take to like keep this guy down? And 3 house calls did the trick, but just goes to show you how tough Brody is.
Yeah, definitely for sure. So I'm interested in seeing what they're gonna do with Brody King now. Like this match, as lackluster as it was, it definitely was a star-making performance for Brody King that shows he deserves to be on pay-per-view, at least maybe even closer to the main event, maybe higher up in the card, in the mid card. But it definitely was a star-making performance. So hopefully Tony Khan knows what he has in Brody King and decides to use him a little bit more, and this leads to more opportunities for Brody King.
I'm hoping because at this rate, the Hounds of Hell aren't coming back anytime soon, and Brody showed that he can handle things on his own, so keep letting him do that.
Oh, yeah. All right. So moving on, we have a match for the AEW Women's Championship, and it's a 2 out of 3 falls match between new champion Tekla and former champion Chris Statlander. Now, this one was very interesting for the 2 out of 3 falls format. Tekla scored the first fall, pinning Statlander with an O'Connor roll, holding the bottom rope for leverage. Statlander was able to gain a pinfall, hitting Tekla with Saturday Night Fever, and the third fall came after referee Paul Turner was bounced out of the ring on an inadvertent bump. Tekla took the opportunity to attack Statlander with the referee's belt, but Stat was able to gain use of the belt and attack Tekla with the belt as soon as she entered the ring. The referee comes to, admonishing Statlander for using his belt. This allowed Tekla to the time to hit Statlander with the spear, followed it up by 2 curb stomps to secure the third fall and win the match. I thought this was a really good match, one of the better matches on the card. I gave it 3.75 flames out of 5.
Not surprisingly, I also gave it 3.75 because it too was one of my favorite matches of the night as well. It's the first thing that always like gets me when these two wrestle is just the size difference between them, because Tekla just looks like an actual child standing next to Stat. It was funny seeing all the people saying like, you literally have a giant going against someone who is like 3 apples tall or like 2.5 apples tall. And it's funny because I looked it up just to see. I was curious. I'm even taller than Tekla, and I'm not very tall. I'm like 5'4". I think they said she's 5'1". So I have that over her, I guess, and that's where it ends because she could kick my ass. But no, I remember when we did the predictions for the show, I was very excited about this match. I wanted to see what they would do with the 2 out of 3 falls, and honestly, they didn't disappoint. I think, and it's just such kind of just like a subtle thing that I think really like set the tone at the beginning of the match, was when Tekla was kind of taunting Stat and kind of like evading her and whatever, and when Stat finally caught her with that clothesline, just fucking decked her. I'm like, oh, so this is what that kind of match is going to be. All right, let's do it. And yeah, it was great. I'm glad that they didn't over rely on the Sisters of Sin being there to help Tekla win. I feel like they could have easily just went there because that's just the easy way to do things. Granted, they did get involved, but it didn't directly didn't directly lead to the finish. They just kind of had to be there, and Stat was kind of like sick of their shit. But yeah, I definitely like when he like Paul Turner fell out of the ring and Tekla just like kicks him. She doesn't give a shit. She does not care. She just it was just funny. I've said it ever since she really came into AEW that Tekla's quickly become one of my favorites. She's just great in the ring. She's looks legit dangerous, and she just has just the aura about her that you can't help but like pay attention to her.
Right.
And plus, I also think we could both agree, since everybody knows the kind of music we listen to, that she has one of the best like theme songs in wrestling. I feel like it just gets you hyped and just gets you going. But and no slouch on Stat either. We know what we get with Stat. She's consistent. She's great. Everyone knows I love Stat too. So again, this match hurt on many different levels, but I was still very entertained. Definitely one of my favorite matches of the night for sure. So I also gave it 3 3/4 flames. Now I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Stat now, because she's pretty much done with Tekla. I don't think they could really tell any other story at this point, at least for now. But it's going to kind of be tough. I mean, yeah, you could easily argue if you're Stat, but it's just like, okay, well, she had friends and I had friends and they weren't there because they were doing their own thing. But it'll be interesting because hell, she could go after the TBS title, maybe. She could do, I don't know what, but like we've said plenty of times in this episode, now that Tony's out, maybe she could continue to have a prominent role in the women's division. I feel like she will, because it's Stat. Like, Stat's one of the better like women you have on the roster. So again, it'd be a disservice to her and the fans to keep her out of the ring. So keep it going.
Yeah, I'm more concerned, not really concerned, but more interested in what this does for Tekla. I want them to give Tekla a very long title reign. I feel
Oh, yes.
like it was perfect timing to put the title on her, because she's just someone that kind of came in to AEW and you instantly said, wow, look at her, who is she, and you instantly became gravitated towards her. And she's always done solid work. That's the one thing about Tekla, she's very solid. No bad performances that I can think of. They've always been pretty good performances. So I'm very excited that she is the women's champion. I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do now with her going forward as the top dog in the women's division, especially with no Tony Storm there. Maybe she had something to do with the Tony Storm attack.
Maybe.
Everybody's a suspect. Everybody's a suspect now.
Or suspects, I guess.
Or suspects. You're right. So it really just interesting to see what they're gonna do with Tekla. Right now, she's one of my favorite parts of AEW. She's definitely become a star in her own right as the AEW Women's Champion. So it's interesting to see what they're gonna do with her.
I completely agree. I just want to see more of her.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so moving on, we have a match for the AEW Trios Championships. This was kind of thrown in there for me. It felt like it was Jet Speed and Mystico taking on the Don Callis family for the AEW Trios Championships. Now, they've been playing hot potato with the AEW Trios Championships. These only had one defense between Jet Speed and Hangman Page before losing it to the Don Callis family. And this was a fun watch that would have definitely killed on a Dynamite or Collision. The action was fast and frantic, with pin attempts coming at rapid speed. The finish came with Mystico hitting La Mystica on Fletcher. Mark Davis was in a perfect position for a leaping Kevin Knight, who jumped over Mystico and Fletcher to hit Davis with a UFO splash for the win. I gave it 3 3/4 flames out of 5. This was an exciting sprint to crown new AEW Trios Championships.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, obviously you look at everybody involved, and they would have really had to go out there and just completely blow it to not have a good match, and they didn't. It was a great match. I feel like we expected, I don't know, because I feel like when we talked about the predictions episode, we didn't really peg this initially as, oh, this should just be on like a Dynamite. I feel like we knew that there was something there because of the whole Okada and Takeshita thing. I think that we might have been kind of biased by that perhaps, but I feel like this plus one more match in the night was unfortunately broke the streak what we thought was going to be of like, oh, AEW finally had a pay-per-view that didn't have any like matches that could have been on Collision or Dynamite, and then they had to go and prove us wrong again, so whatever. But yeah, no, this is a solid match. As usual, everybody got their time to shine. I feel like I could have added an extra like quarter flame, but I just think the problem is that there was that one point when everybody was in the ring fighting, and it was just like, I don't know what to pay attention to. I don't know what to like
Yeah.
look at. This is like a mess in a good way, but it just, I feel like, kind of like threw me off a little bit. So I think I kind of docked just a couple little flame points off for me, but still a solid match. Didn't expect Mystico and Jet Speed to win the titles. Like you said, they're just playing hot potato with them for whatever reason that is, but you know, good for them, and good for Mystico for getting signed. They had a nice little moment after the match, and yeah, good for him.
Yeah, like you said, after the match, they showed a graphic showing that Mystico is all elite. So obviously, he being a trios champion, you're going to be seeing a lot more Mystico on AEW TV, which is pretty good. I mean, he's always had really great performances as well on AEW TV, and he's always wowed the crowd. So I'm all for AEW signing Mystico to a long-term deal.
I completely agree, and the crowd in LA loved him. They could not get enough of him. So yeah, good for him. He definitely earned it.
For sure. Congratulations to Mystico. Congratulations to Jet Speed for becoming the new AEW Trios champions. Next up, we had a singles match between Andrade El Idolo and the ROH World Champion Bandito. Now, this was a non-title match. This wasn't for the ROH Championship. And this one was interesting because you go into this thinking you're going to see a lot of lucha wrestling, but that really wasn't the case. Andrade wrestled a slower pace, more based on power moves and getting cheers from the ladies. The final stretch was probably the best part of the match. Bandito was doing his best to hit the 21 plex, but on his second attempt, Andrade lands on his feet and connects with the feint back elbow, rocking Bandito. Andrade pulls Bandito up and hits him with the DM from the second rope to win. And like I said, I was expecting more lucha. I didn't get that. Slightly disappointed, but it's still an okay match. I gave it 3.5 flames out of 5.
But yeah, I thought it was a pretty solid match. I also gave it 3.5 out of 5 flames. I feel like when you know the two that are involved, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the Swerve and Brody match, where it's just like, okay, you expected it to go one more gear than it actually did. And that's not to say that it didn't. I mean, obviously, it was still a great match, and it made them both look really good, but it was just like, God damn it, we could have been just a little bit more, maybe. I think maybe what also might have happened was that since a lot of these matches on this card were so chaotic, I think that maybe people were kind of expecting it to be just as chaotic. So when it wasn't, they were like, oh, well, that's kind of odd. But I don't think it needed to be, because with these two, you just don't expect like a chaotic, like, you don't know which way to look kind of match. You just
Right.
expect a good technical solid match, and that's what we got. But yeah, it just seemed like something was just off. Maybe it was just the fatigue, because you know, most people were kind of like, I don't know, how long would this have been? This would have been like almost 11:30 maybe
Right,
at this
right.
point. So maybe it was that, but no, still solid showing from both of them. I guess I just expected a little bit more, maybe, but still 3.5 flames though.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, like I said, I was just expecting a little bit more lucha.
Yeah.
You know, the standard typical things that we see in regular lucha matches. We did get a little bit of it, but we got more like ground and pound and more power moves from Andrade, who comes in here looking crazy shape. He's got muscles
Yeah.
on top of muscles now. Now he's ripping his pants off, you know, and rocking the short trunks. You know, this is all very interesting coming from Andrade.
Yeah, I guess maybe he's going for a new style now, maybe, which I mean, it still like works for him, but I feel like, damn it, we want to see a little bit, just a little bit of the lucha libre, but overall, it still wasn't bad though. I couldn't complain too much.
Yeah, it was all right. It was all right. Moving on, we had a 6-man or trios match in this one, going against with the Conglomeration and Darby Allin. Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong team up with Darby Allin to take on the Dogs, David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, and Clark Connors. This one was hard to keep up with, as it was a tornado tag match, meaning tags
Yeah.
were pretty much useless. I can only speak for myself when I say the Dogs do nothing for me. They just seem like a bunch of dudes, and that's it. Gabe Kidd puts on a front like he's some mentally ill psychopath. When at the conclusion of the match, Darby made him look like a chump, tying him to the ramp, making him a non-factor in the finish. Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong jump Clark Connors, putting him through the blender before Orange Cassidy takes the pin. This one fell out of place this late on the pay-per-view. I just gave it 3.5 flames out of 5.
Yeah, this was, again, they just couldn't help themselves because this match absolutely didn't need to be on the card. It was just, oh, hey, well, like, I mean, I guess we need to put these guys on the card. So yeah, we'll just throw this in right before the main event because yeah, why not? I mean, crowd needs to take a nap somehow, I guess. It doesn't mean the match was bad though. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't bad, but it was also just like we really didn't need this. Clearly, like the following Dynamite, we saw why this match was a thing because it's set up for the coffin match between Darby and Gabe, which is just like, okay, like, I don't know. I mean, you don't always have to have extra matches just for the sake of having extra matches. I promise. Like, it was just chaotic. It was entertaining in some ways, but it was just like, I just couldn't help but sit there looking at it going, we really didn't need to have this on the card. Like, they really, really didn't, but here it is, and we got it anyway, and it was all right. I gave it 3.5 as well. It was fine.
I just can't get over my overall, what's the word I'm looking for? When I see Gabe Kidd on my TV, I just see nothing. Like, he doesn't move me either way.
Apathy.
Yeah, he's just like, he's just a dude to me. Like, there's nothing, and he tries to put on this front like he's some mentally deranged, unhinged, unsteady, needs to be locked away in a straitjacket, but he just comes off kind of corny and cheesy to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's all right. I mean, he doesn't really do anything for me either. It's just he's there. It's fine. I mean, Connors is kind of cool. I think he kind of has a cool looking attitude about him. And honestly, I haven't seen Dave Finlay enough to even really say much one way or the other. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll be seeing more of them, obviously, in AEW. But I don't know. Maybe they'll grow on me, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right, so moving on, we have the main event of the evening, and it is MJF defending the AEW World Championship against Hangman Adam Page in a Texas death match. And this was everything you would expect in a Texas death match. I mean, they had glass, syringes, staple guns, barbed wires, tons of tables and chairs, and it really gave the fans the violent natured match that they really paid to see. It's not really for me. Deathmatch style wrestling has its place just like anything else with the fandom. It's just not my cup of tea, and the overuse of blood and gratuitous violence was just not for me, especially when they brought out the syringes. I was just like, I was just like, dude, no. And I wonder if like your theory is correct, where you're like, they put this match on so late so that way parents can't use the excuse, I can't believe that they let their children watch something so violent.
Yeah, because then the excuse turns in on them, because then it's just like, well, why'd you let your kids stay up till almost 1 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday? Like, shouldn't they be in bed for school or something? So yeah, it's I just, that syringe, I just
Yeah.
I don't.
So they broke out they broke out a dog collar in the match, and that came to play in the finish where Hangman got hung up in the dog collar and MJF choked him out till he was pretty much incapacitated, because the point of this match, pinfalls didn't mean anything. It was either submissions or you didn't answer the count of 10 from the referee, and that's what happened here. MJF choked Hangman Page out with the dog collar long enough where he couldn't answer the count of 10. And now, this is the one thing we talked about the most on our last episode. Hangman Page can no longer challenge for the AEW World Championship. Now, is that a smart move creatively? Does that handicap them creatively? What are your thoughts?
It's very odd to me because I think it was like what on the um it was on the post show, I think Tony Khan pretty much said that, oh, this is like a gentleman's agreement. It's like a handshake agreement. It's not like set in stone. So I guess there's somewhat of an excuse at some point to like go back on it. But again, once you go back on it, it makes all of this completely worthless.
Right.
We talked about it during the prediction show. It's just like, okay, well, inevitably you would think you're going to have to go back on it. And then what was the whole point of this anyway? But then it made me kind of think, what happens if Swerve beats Kenny and takes the EVP power? That could kind of like rewrite that whole story right there, because what if Swerve, uses that to his advantage, or, like taunts Hangman with it and then eventually has to give him a title shot again? So I'm wondering if maybe that's the direction they're going in, maybe, but I don't know. We said, at the time we were like, if they have Hangman lose, this is going to be a very confusing. I'd like to hear the explanation why, but I don't know. Maybe they're onto something that we don't know about, but the match itself, man, just I don't really know how you could accurately describe it other than just violent. I mean, that's putting it mildly. The syringe I never want to see again, because that was just like the worst part for me, because I hate needles.
Yeah.
We have to say medical needles because there's going to be some people of like, well, you guys have tattoos. I mean, it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, those are completely different. Like, usually it's a little different when you're putting a medical needle through somebody's cheek. That's a little different than, tattoo needles. But yeah, so I hated that. The thing that kind of got me a little bit, though, was the fact that they used the barbed wire, they had the light tubes. The glass kind of confused me a little bit, and I don't know if you noticed this as well. So obviously MJF eats the glass, and then Hangman drags him through the broken glass, and not a single shred of skin on MJF's torso or back was bleeding. Like,
Yeah.
last I checked, if you're going through glass, even if you like touch glass, you're gonna be like bleeding profusely. So the fact that kind of gave away the fact that it was like sugar glass probably, or some fake glass. It was just like, okay, so you'll use the fake glass for one of the most gruesome spots of the night, and yet you'll use the real light tubes where you saw this strip of just blood going across MJF's back when he got hit with it. So it's like, okay, well, I love how that was the breaking point of like, hey, we'll use real barbed wire and light tubes and syringes and everything, but actual glass, yeah, no, we can't do that. It's like, guys, come on. It's silly, but these matches are always so tough to rate, because it's like, normally we do it obviously based off of like the wrestling, the entertainment, the whatever.
Yeah.
But when it comes to these matches, man, it's just like, especially this one, because of course I had to like watch it when I was actually awake and didn't have to go to work the next day. And it was just getting to a point where it's just like, oh my God, please just like end the match already. It was just like getting like way too much. And the thing that worries me is the fact that these death matches, and unfortunately AEW loves their death matches, get progressively worse and worse and worse with what they do and get away with and the violence. So it's almost a matter of, what the fuck else do they have?
Right.
What else can they do that's not going to be short of like actually like murdering somebody on pay-per-view? So it's always just tough, because I can deal with it to a degree. Like, some of the stuff I thought was cool. Like, I mean, again, if it was real glass, it would have made it a little better, but just the image of MJF getting drugged through broken glass was insane. But some things I can get and some things I can enjoy about these matches, but then when you get the syringes and stuff like that out, and I'm just like, ugh, I refuse to watch it, because unfortunately I saw a like picture of it on Twitter the next day, on Monday. So when we finally did end up watching the match, I'm just like, I can't look at this. I don't want to. I refuse. Like, nobody can make me, and I didn't. But The thing that I thought was just poetic and rather ironic was, of course, everybody touched on the fact of like, oh, like Hangman lost with the weapon that he introduced to the whole match, and that was just really ironic. And it's just like, yeah, but it's a lot more than that if you remember correctly, because when he won the title from Moxley, he did the exact same thing.
Right.
So he lived by the sword and he died by the sword. So I thought that was kind of ironic and poetic that the way he like brought himself back to glory was the way that he, falls from grace, I guess. So I thought that was a very fun little tidbit they threw in there. But yeah, the match itself is just like, can we even rate this, honestly? Like, how can we?
Well, it's
It
like
was just like,
it's like you said, it's hard to rate these matches because they're not your typical wrestling matches, and this was a perfect example of that. This
yeah,
wasn't a wrestling match in the traditional sense, obviously, but this was much more like, okay, you're gonna do something crazy, then I'm gonna do something crazy to retaliate, and then you're gonna do something crazy, and then I'm gonna do something crazy. That's really the pattern that this match was having. It was like spot for spot. You do the crazy spot, then I do the crazy spot, then you do the crazy spot, then I do the crazy spot. It was
yeah.
just like that's basically what it was, and it progressively just got more and more violent. And for some people, they're into that. They like that sort of stuff. Like I said, just like in any fandom, deathmatch wrestling has its place. It's just not my cup of tea, and it made me hard to actually enjoy it because I just wasn't a fan of the gratuitous violence.
Yeah, it's tough for me because again, I can take it to a degree, but then when it gets to the levels it got to, I'm just like, oh, that's just, ugh, it just can't. It's just I can't. God help that crowd that had to sit through that the whole time. That was another thing. Now that thank God I remember this before were done. Was it just me, or was it like, do we have to always pan out to the like crowd after every single solitary spot happens in every single match on this card? Because it's like, guys, the crowd's there, they're excited. You don't have to show their reaction after every spot. Like it was just getting so ridiculous after a while. I mean, some of them had their like funny moments. There was that guy that was just kind of like, please just let this be over. Like this is just insane, but every single match there was at least like what 4 or 5 cuts to the crowd and or the fans, and it's like, guys, let's not Kevin Dunn this, just do it when the big things happen and that's it, and move on. But I don't know, maybe they were experimenting or something, but I would say let's keep those to a minimum. But yeah, it was just, I couldn't even imagine if I somehow stayed up to watch that match, how I would have even felt afterwards. I would have felt like probably like 10 times more exhausted than I probably already would have been. Because it's just like, God, we just had to sit through 2 men falling short of just like mutilating each other on pay-per-view. And it's just like, those matches take a lot out of you, even as a viewer. It's just like, I can't believe we just watched that.
Yeah. So now my question is, what do we do with Hangman Page, and what's the point of Hangman Page now if he can never go after the world championship?
Like I said, I feel like I just have a theory or a sneaking suspicion that that whole winner take all thing with Kenny and Swerve with the EVP title on the line, I'm wondering if that's going to have something to do with it down the line, because just imagine Swerve with EVP powers. Like, that could be wild.
Yeah.
And I feel like they could play into that because you could have him and Hangman like run into each other at some point and just have like Swerve hold that over his head for the longest time, or it's just like, yeah, I have the power to like reverse that, I'm just not going to do it, and one thing leads to another and inevitably he does get a shot back, maybe. But I feel like they could have done that without having to have that stipulation of a title match, because you could have just had Swerve. I mean, if he does, I feel like it would be kind of interesting if they actually did pull the trigger on it, but it's just like, you could have Swerve win the EVP thing and then just have him interact with Hangman at some point and then just pull that out of nowhere instead of having him lose. Like, you could have just had Swerve be like, Okay, well, you know what? Since I'm the EVP and I'm like, yeah, I don't know, I'm sure Hangman does something to like piss him off or something. He's just like, yeah, you're never allowed to challenge for that title again. Like, good luck. You could have done that way. Like, you couldn't have, he didn't have to Cody Rhodes him just for the sake of Cody Rhodesing him, I guess. Like, I don't really have an explanation for it. It's just, I still don't get it. It still makes my head hurt. I don't know why they had to do this again for the second time in the company's history, but maybe they've fleshed out. And like I said, the only way I can think of it making semi sort of sense is the whole EVP thing. But if Swerve doesn't win that belt or that like title, then what are we doing? If he loses that and he loses the number one contendership, then it just throws that whole theory out the window, and then it's even more confusing because then what are we doing?
Yeah. So overall, I thought this was an okay pay-per-view. The matches were decent. There's just not going to be anything to knock your socks off, as nothing scored above 3 3/4 flames for me. A lot of these matches felt like Dynamite or Collision main events to me. So overall, I gave the pay-per-view 3.5 flames out of 5. It just it wasn't bad. It was just nothing to go crazy over.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, it was better than some pay-per-views we've had to watch from AEW, and that's saying something. But again, I think it's just they need to find that perfect balance of, if we're dead set on doing a pay-per-view on a Sunday, you have to make it so most people don't tune out 3/4 of the way through.
Right.
You just have to find a way to get people to stay the whole time and not completely alienate most of your fan base that are, you know, working class people that can't afford to stay up late up until 1 a.m. for your show. But I feel like the high spots were good enough for me that I can give it an extra like quarter flame. So I'll give it 3 1/4 and 3/4 flames overall. Like I said, the tag match, Moxley and Takeshita, Tekla and Stat, for as average or just decent as most of the like matches were, those 3 were definitely good enough standouts, or just good standouts, that I feel like it elevated the pay-per-view at least a little bit for me. So I'll tack on that extra quarter flame.
There you go. Not too bad, not too bad. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our recap of AEW Revolution 2026. It came, it went, and now we move on to Dynasty coming up in April in Vancouver, British Columbia. Should be a big show for AEW. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too. It'll be especially interesting to see how they go about some of these storylines now that the show's over and we have some very head-scratching decisions. So I'd like to see them, you know, explain it. So we'll see.
All right. So that takes us to the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.
No, really, we're not gonna leave you like that. We have to go. We all have to go through all the particulars and let you know where you can listen to this podcast. This podcast is available on all podcast platforms. All you have to do is just search Ringside Rundown, hit the follow or subscribe button, whatever the platform asks of you, and you will never miss an episode. We come out with an episode every Wednesday morning for your listening pleasure. And every Wednesday morning, you could check us out and listen to what we have to say. Usually what we do are question and answer episodes where you guys send us in questions about what's going on in the world of professional wrestling, and we do our best to answer it with our fan perspective. Now, the best place to do that is to ask a question on Twitter. Every Monday before an episode, we ask you guys to send us in questions in the form of a tweet reply to our pinned tweet. So check us out on Twitter at Ringside Rundown. That's also the same handle for Facebook and Instagram at Ringside Rundown. Check us out and stay up to date with all things happening with the Ringside Rundown. You can also check us out on TikTok at Ringside_Rundown. Again, that's at Ringside_Rundown. You can also check out this episode on YouTube, youtube.com/@RingsideRunPod. Again, that's youtube.com/@ringsiderunpod. Make sure you tune in every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. I am live on Twitch and YouTube doing live watch-alongs of AEW and WWE programming. So come hang out with me. If you want to check out what's going on the road to WrestleMania, like I said, I am on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Twitch.tv/ringside rundown. Make sure you're there. Don't be lame. Come hang out with a bunch of wrestling geeks. Shay, where can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on my wrestling Twitter at @ShayRingside_. If you know the meme, hey, can I copy your homework? Yeah, just don't make it obvious. That was me and Eric. We actually originated that with my name and his. So
yep. Made it a lot easier. Made it more brand specific.
Yeah, we got to keep up. We got to keep up the standard.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like it that it's brand specific.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. It's just easier that way. I feel like it would have been rather confusing if I did literally anything else. So I just had to copy the homework. It was a requirement at that point.
So this is episode 197. We are getting close to episode 200, ladies and gentlemen. Big milestone coming up, episode 200.
It's insane. How is it already 200? It feels like it was yesterday, but it also wasn't. It's just time is such a weird thing.
Definitely, but I'm excited. So thank you guys for listening to this episode. Like I said, check it out on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, Amazon Music, Audible, wherever you listen to podcasts. Check this out. Tell your friends about it. Tell your wrestling relatives about it. Tell everyone about it. Tell your priest. Tell your deacon, tell your doctor, tell your lawyer, tell your teachers.
Your therapist.
Yep.
Therapist.
Yeah, definitely your therapist. Therapy is cool. All right.
Yeah, we approve.
Yeah, so tell your therapist about the Ringside Rundown podcast, and we will check you out on the next episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for listening.
See you later, guys.